This is Jackie Campbell, Beyond the Badge podcast. I'm here today with Lisa Gunther, our friend and licensed mental health counselor and military veteran. And we also have Scott Campbell here, retired first responder, law enforcement officer, and veteran. And I get to be the lucky one sitting here. It's always great to have first responders around us. And Beyond the Badge, that podcast is really to help those who are retired and transition into retirement from either military service or from law enforcement. And I'm grateful for our first responders. So thank you both, first of all, for our service. And Lisa, welcome back.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
I know you've been here a couple times.
Yes.
And today we're going to be talking about stress, trauma, and how our bodies hold on to that. So first of all, I think that probably applies to every single person, no matter what age these days. So tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've learned 31 years in mental health counseling, a Christian mental health counselor. And we've talked about it before. How do you even do that and go home and do it week after week and help someone else, but yet kind of make sure and recover yourself?
Yeah, I think it's appropriate to have my own boundaries and not get too involved in the problem. So like a degree of professional separation, but be able to, care for my clients and be there for them, but have that divide.
Yeah, and I know, Scott, you've done this for years too, and you were able to somehow switch.
Well, I don't think I could do what you've done for how many years?
31.
I don't think I could do it for that long because you have a caring nature, and when you're helping someone who has problems, I know you have to fight to keep from. You have to take some of that with you, and it can get heavy, or you have to have true boundaries.
Well, there's hope, and I think that's what makes the difference. Because if people didn't get better, then it would be super depressing. But because I see the transformation and I see the recovery, then it makes it better and worth it.
I think an hour with me would take away that hope, and you'd probably retire.
So, you not only deal with law enforcement officers, you deal with, like, what are some examples of some of the clients that you work with?
Moms, couples, teens. I don't do children as much anymore, but just every phase of life.
I think, I'm probably going to be wrong for saying this, but I feel like from what I've witnessed in life that some of this is self-inflicted, and it's more of not having the emotional ability to. I just see more victims now than I ever have before, and I think it's like, in other words, people are trained how to be victims, which in return creates problems that shouldn't even be a problem.
There is a thing called learned helplessness, where we just kind of like, what's the point? And I can't fix this, so I'm not even going to try. So that is a thing. But I think a lot of people, they just don't have they don't know how. And so when we've tried with our own means and those means aren't working, then we give up instead of coming to someone like me who has tools that can help somebody actually navigate it.
I just see it seems like that there's problems that people have in their lives that are not even their problems, that you have no control over it, but they try to turn that into a problem.
Yes.
that they can solve.
Yes.
That's common.
Without boundaries, sure.
See, I'm a therapist. I just didn't know it.
And there's another dynamic, too, that there's part of us that we want to try to help or fix something. So nowadays, it used to be back in the day, you only knew the problems in your town. But nowadays, we know the problems all over the world, and there's nothing we can do about them. So it gives us the sense of helplessness and hopelessness, so that actually can affect people.
That was my next thing I was going to say, and you just covered it. I think now the noise is so loud,
yes,
and you get it instantaneously. You're not just getting it from one source, you're getting it from 10, and they're all different. And then you have that noise compounding. I can see where, I'm very fortunate. Noise doesn't bother me. But life is so stressful. It really doesn't. Noise doesn't bother me. I can put it in its compartment and make sense of, if it doesn't involve me, I can let it go. But I notice that life is still, you forget about the noise. Life is, just the last week, I've had, you have too much.
Yeah.
And I have to stop and recategorize what's my most important 3 things, because it comes so fast.
That's good. That's a good approach.
But that's what I do. I say, well, is this something 5 years from now is going to really matter?
There you go.
So see, I've got some skills. I just didn't know it, right?
Got some skills.
Yeah, but
So-
you have to get stressed and stretched to get there to even get that in your mindset. I think most people don't do it naturally. They're like when they start feeling a little bit overwhelmed, like, okay, I don't know what, I'm going in 2 or 3 different directions at the same time. Then they start kind
Well,
of.
people go into overwhelm and freeze, and then they just kind of stay paralyzed in it. So sure.
Is that your thing? Is that, I would say every case is different, but what percentage, the biggest percentage of people who get in that point, and I can see it, but what is the biggest contributing factor if you had to say, okay, what's getting, is it a mental health thing, or is it just a life thing, or is it just not having an understanding of how do I cope with?
I think because we don't understand how our nervous system works, we don't know how to navigate it, to help it. And that's what we're going to talk about today, to give people those skills.
I like that. So it's okay, that makes sense.
And I think everybody to some degree has an area of their life where they get overwhelmed or might go into shutdown.
So it could be seasons, it could be in a relationship, being married with children, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, being a counselor, being a first responder.
So everything she just said, if you look at it, I mean, they're different, but they're similar. There's techniques, there's things you can do that can, I think, cover everything she just said. That's our day-to-day things that people just don't know how to do.
Yeah.
That I want to hear.
So you had mentioned this to me, and you said, hey, I'd really like to talk about somatic therapy and what some tools are for someone to kind of help control their nervous system, because it's not just necessarily, you can't always control the things that are going on, but you can control how you're responding to it day after day.
Yeah, be there to support your body.
What is
So there's-
somatic? What does that mean?
It means body-based. So there's 2 approaches to counseling. It's either top-down, which is the cognitive, the thoughts, or it's bottom-up, where we're actually dealing with the body. And I, as a counselor, was never trained in the bottom-up. I was trained in the thoughts. And so all the cognitive behavioral, which is very important, but this aspect of body-up is actually, bottom-up, dealing with our body is actually also very helpful.
So you're saying it's kind of like you talked about the monkeys and the elephants. You think about, when you say bottom up, it's mental second. So before you think about your thoughts, is that what I'm hearing?
The top down is thoughts, and we're dealing with it from our thoughts, and then bottom up is we're dealing it from our body, from our nervous system.
Okay, so it's not just your gut or your stomach. I mean, we've heard the concept from an author that we met last year, and they were talking about driven, and first responders is a big one, right, with PTSD, and how to calm your mind and calm the monkeys in your mind, and kind of trust your gut, your instincts, and keep your body calm.
Okay.
So yeah,
Just so I'm clear on this, what we're dealing with is your thoughts and your nervous system, and you're talking about bottom up starts nervous system, then
Yes.
thoughts. So that's basically it, right? Nervous system. So you think about, that's kind of deep. Explain that, the nervous system.
Well, let me do the first one first, the cognitive, right? So the thoughts, that's the top down. And we've talked about this on these podcasts before. Like one of the examples is A plus B equals C. So we have an activating event, something happens in our life, we believe something, we tell ourselves something about it, and then we have a consequence. And so the belief is the key. What I tell myself will lead to my emotions. So it is very important that we pay attention to our thoughts. And most people don't. They just are, something happens and boom, they have a feeling and they have no clue what happened. So we do want to pay attention to that. We want to correct thought distortions. So that's that. And we've dealt with that here before. This other approach, the bottom up, is what's happening in my body and actually paying attention. And most people aren't attuned to their bodies at all. We just plow through. So somatic experiencing is a body-oriented approach, and Dr. Peter Levine was kind of like the founder of that. And so, that's how that goes, because there's 2 states to our nervous system. We have the fight, flight, or freeze, and that's when we're going into trauma, and then we have the rest and digest.
So it sounds like I've got to add this to it, because I think most people don't pay attention to their body. Think about what we're putting into our body.
That too.
And I think that's got to be a big part of that, right? I mean,
that is toxins and how we treat our body is one of the stressors. And today, because there's just so much out there in the world, GMOs and all the different things, it does stress our bodies, these things that never belonged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's an uphill battle, because try to eat healthy and see how hard that is. So you have inflammation from this crap that they're A lot of countries don't even allow it.
Yes.
And so we're eating this stuff over and over, and you're talking about your liver, and when you have that inflammation, it won't go away because you have the insulin spike. So therefore, when you talk about bottom up, you've got a lot of, how can you even accomplish that until you get your body right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because there can be brain inflammation, all of the inflammation, sure. And so you can't really honestly go into the grocery store and just grab something. Because even in your, I don't know, I mean to tell on you, but in your candy dish out there, all of those candies have bioengineered ingredients in it.
Mm-hmm.
All of the Hershey's,
Yeah.
the Reese's, and I love them, but bioengineered ingredients, which are GMOs, which are not good for our body.
It creates that, yeah, there's an addiction. They say the sugar is an addiction more than, it's like heroin.
Yes.
And we just keep doing this sugar. We got the inflammation. Can't even get to our brains yet. Our body's so messed up.
But I think stress can be an addiction too, right? Like have to be in that go, 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 go. I mean, one of the things that you had talked about before, Lisa, was whenever there is a crisis or some kind of, a family member's in the hospital, like you're over-functioner or under-functioner. And we know I'm an over-functioner, so I will call and get you help, but don't expect me to be the first responder. I know when we ever have had issues, like the two of you are like medical right there, and I'm like, do we need to call 911? What's going on? But just how you deal with that. So go a little. I'd like to hear more about what you're saying
I really got to know about this nervous thing, this nervous system, and you haven't got there yet, though, have you?
We're ready for that.
Okay, but now all right, just so it's clear in my head, you got top down, bottom up. When does the nervous system come into play?
It's always in play.
How do you handle that?
Well, let's go back to the fight, flight, or freeze versus the rest and digest. So if you are being chased by a bear, your body should go into fight, flight, or freeze. And I always tell the story when Jackie and I were walking our dogs, and it was night, and we were walking by some woods, and it started rustling in the woods. So me and my yellow lab turned toward, we were in fight mode to see what was going to come at us, and then I turned my head, and Jackie and her little dog were gone.
That sounds about right.
So she was flight, and we were fight. So, because we didn't know what was happening, right? But if I'm going on a trip to Walmart, I shouldn't go into fight, flight, or freeze. And so, but many people do, because they're like, oh, there's going to be crowds and things and that. So in the everyday life, we don't want to go into fight, flight, or freeze. We want to be in rest and digest, or another way to describe that is calm aliveness. So that's the state we want to be in.
And to me, it seems like the toughest job you have is how do you get someone, people have lived in that state for so long, how do you get them out of it?
Well, they think it's normal, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some people don't understand lack of stress, and sometimes we actually, because we're so comfortable in stress, we'll create it. Like when we're talking about the states of our nervous system, part of the main key is to pay attention. And so as I just said, we don't pay attention. So I like to use a gauge in counseling. That we have the green, which is good, we have the yellow, which is caution, and then we have the red, which is overload. And so if we're paying attention, we can kind of tell, where am I? So if I'm in green, I'm good. But if I start crossing over into yellow, that's when I want to correct. But most people live in red, and then they just keep plowing and pushing through, and then something's going to break. Just like the temperature gauge. If you run in the red on hot, your car's going to break, right? So something emotionally or physically will usually break down if we live too long in that red. So part of it, the key is just pay attention to know where I am. And then it can tell me what I need to do. Because if I'm in green, I'm good.
So just think about your thinking and why am I feeling this and justify it.
Tuning into the body. And actually, so one of the things to do is people can close their eyes and actually just pay attention. Like, what am I feeling in my body? Where is there discomfort? Do I have pain anywhere? Where is it feeling good? We don't do this typically.
Oh, I was about to tell you. I was about to say, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I've never really done that.
Because it requires a pause, and most people don't pause because we're too busy go, right? Or we're numbing with something and, scrolling or whatever. So to take care of my body, I need to pay attention and even know what my body needs.
Well, I think you do know, because you'll say, like, quiet time. I need quiet time.
Well, no,
So
it's not for that. It's for the mental. I mean, I've hurt myself. I've had bruises. I've had aches and pains, and she will ask me, how did that happen? And I have no idea. So the quiet time you're talking about is more up here. It's a mental, because I have to get my thoughts in a line. But as far as what you're saying with the body, I don't think I've ever really done that. Maybe I should. I don't stop and say, okay, well, how am I feeling?
I can actually feel stress in my head. So when I start to, so it is that still that body approach, but when I get too stressed, it's like the sensation in my head, and then I know, okay, back off.
So you've trained, you've done it, and it's just from doing.
It just came natural. It was one of the things I just knew to do.
I think for a lot of people, that's not natural.
No,
Well, like, during the pandemic, I had to go to the dentist, and he's like, well, are you under a lot of stress? Because I started really grinding my teeth, and I'm like, no, I have no stress. I don't know what you're talking about. But I find myself when I get tense, like my jaw gets really tight because I'm like, clenching down, and that's where I guess I hold a lot of stress in my neck and my jaw. But you're right, and it's not until it starts hurting that I kind of pay attention and say, okay, relax your shoulders just a little bit. But I'm already way past the red zone by the time that even
happens.
happens.
It's the same thing like falling out of a fire. You got to look, listen, and feel. So you got to stop, take the time, and say, hey. And somehow, I'm still having a hard time with this. I think I've got to really practice that. So what you have to stop and say, okay, I guess analyze how your body's feeling. Is that it?
Yes. And so Dr. Amy Apigian does a lot of work with somatic things. And so she actually has a book coming out called The Biology of Trauma. So that's where I've learned a lot of what I'm telling you guys today. And she also has a thing called the 21-Day Journey, where in this program, you learn 21 different somatic techniques to support your body. So there's the safety ones, which we're gonna work on today, teaching you that, and then there's the support ones, and then there's it's kind of like a growth ones, expansion.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about those.
So there's safety practices that we can actually tell our nervous system that we're safe. So a lot of times, because we can be in this fight, flight, or freeze and just stay in the state. So one of them is orienting. And so in orienting, what we do, there's two kinds of orienting. There's defensive orienting and there's safety orienting. So in defensive orienting, I'm literally looking around for threats. I'm looking up, down, under the desk, behind me, wherever space I'm in, I'm looking. And then as my body sees that there's nothing, then it can calm my nervous system. And then once I do the defensive orienting, then I can do a safety orienting. And then looking around for things that make me feel safe, that make me like calm my nervous system, make me feel content, have meaning. So it could be a cue of safety. It could, like I have this wood cross that I like, or it could be a stuffed animal, or it could be a picture, or whatever. That means something soft, whatever, your pet. But that's safety orienting. So that's one of the techniques, orienting. Another one of them is, and then this one's kind of strange. So we have a thing called the vagus nerve, and it runs from our gut, behind our vocal cords, up into our brain. And so when we vibrate our vocal cords, it actually vibrates the vagus nerve, which tells it we're safe. So again, you can just make sense of this, but it just works, right? So what we do, and if you guys want to practice it, we take a deep breath in, and we're going to exhale to the noise of VOO. So whether you do a VOO or a VU, okay? So we're going to do it together.
I'm going to have to do that by myself because...
No, let's do it.
You go ahead. I'll watch you guys, and that sounds great. I love it.
It's weird if we're just being honest, right? And you're not going to do this in the middle of Walmart because people are going to look at you like you're crazy.
They will call.
Right?
They will call someone.
But when you're in your private time and you want to do this, so you in, Jackie? Okay, so we're taking a deep breath in.
Okay.
And we're going to exhale all the way out to the noise of VOO. Okay, so ready? Inhale.
That was a little scary. It sounded alien.
It actually feels really
Does
good.
it?
Yeah,
So
you gotta try
if
that.
you put your hand up to your throat,
Feel
you
the
can
vibration.
feel-
Yeah.
So what you're
And it's
doing
calming.
is you're exercising that vagus nerve.
Vibrating it.
Vibrating.
And
it.
by
Just tells
vibrating
it's
it,
safe.
it tells it. And does it work?
Yes.
Let's do it. Try it.
No, that's okay. But I will tell you, I had no idea that was a thing. I didn't know vagus nerve. We were flying somewhere in Ohio, and we're getting off the plane. I thought I was 30, apparently, and I was helping an elderly lady with her bag that was up on the overhead. She asked me, and I was, of course. And I said elderly lady, and I found out that she was my age. It's crazy how the mind works. But I took the bag out, and I had to hold it up high, and I set it down. Didn't think anything of it. The next morning, I thought I had COVID. I thought I had the flu. I thought something but it took a week to find out. I did something to the vagus nerve, and it went over a muscle, and it cramped my whole body to the point that I thought something's bad wrong. And we were in a conference, and I told her, I said, if I have to leave, everything's okay. But I was nauseous and everything. And so I made it back home, went through this therapy session, and I heard it was the vagus nerve. I didn't believe it, but somehow she was able to get it where it was supposed to be, and everything was great again.
Cool.
And that's the first time I ever heard that. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know you could be paralyzed by it. You could not, your overall movement, everything was just, it was terrible from that one nerve.
Wow.
So it's got power, I guess.
So the vagus nerve is the main nerve, one of the largest, I should say, through your body. So it can have a significant impact. So tell me more. I'm excited to hear what the next thing is.
Another one is grounding. So in this form of grounding, the important parts are our hips and our feet. So we're going to square our hips down, and you just kind of sit to where you feel like, your sit bones are sitting where it feels comfortable. And then let's practice with our feet. So put the ball of your feet down on the ground and just see how that feels. And then let's do our heels. And then let's do flat-footed. And one thing we can't do here, which is my favorite, is when you have something like, say, a roll of paper towels and you put your foot over and it hugs up into the arch. Now that's the one that feels best for me, but which felt best for you guys of those?
Heels.
Flat foot.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it could change. It could change in the the mood you're in or whatever. But that's grounding. So we can ground, and then we can orient and do a VU all at the same time. So those are just 3 of the techniques.
So you can ground and VU at the same time.
Yes.
Now, I have someone who goes out, have their cup of coffee barefooted, and put their bare feet on the ground.
Now that's a form of grounding as well, where actually this is a whole other teaching where the EMFs and the different things through the air with all the electronics, that we actually release things through our body into the ground. So it's good to get that. So that's a different kind of discharge, but that's good too. So yeah. So another one is called the push away. So this is going to be hard to describe over radio, but we're going to take our hands to our shoulders and face them outward. And so what we're going to do is we're going to push, like we're creating space. So we're going to tense our arms as if we were pushing like a boulder away from us, and just tense them all the way out until they're fully extended. So we're pushing, 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 pushing all the way to fully extension.
What are you visualizing when you do that?
You could visualize your problem. You don't have to visualize anything, but whatever. But the concept is you're pushing this thing away, and it creates that space. Like, this thing isn't up on me. I can actually push it away. And now, interestingly enough, when your nervous system likes what you're doing and it takes some practice, you'll get a yawn or you'll get a deep breath. And that's your nervous system's way of knowing, like, yeah, I like that. That really helped.
And this has been tried and tested to be.
And what was that one
A
called?
lot of science
Push
behind
away.
it. Yes.
Dr. Levine.
Originally, yes. And then one more I want to teach you is called containment. And this is like giving yourself a hug. So take your 2 hands and put them like over your heart. Kind of like how someone's in a coffin, which is an awful way to describe that. But feel how that feels. And then grab your arms in a little bit of a hug, a little bit more. And then grab your elbows, and they're going to go across your stomach, and then feel that. And then we're going to do one more like it's a bear hug. So you're just going to grab around your shoulders really wide. So which one of those felt best to you guys?
This one's the most painful because my shoulders are shot.
I know, I was thinking this one's harder.
The bear hug, yeah.
Probably
You like
that,
the one
yeah.
on your chest, yeah?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Which did you like, Jackie?
This one.
Now that one where you do your elbows, if it goes across your stomach, is also doing stomach support, because you're actually putting it and supporting your stomach too.
And you can do this and at the same time do the VU.
This one is you could do it in public, and people wouldn't know what you're doing, because you could just do
And
like
maybe
this.
maybe they won't call on
Yeah,
you
but if you
on
do
that.
VU in public, they're going to know what you're doing for sure. But you can contain in VU if you're at home. But you can, like some of the ones, you could even ground. You can orient when you're out in public too, because you're basically just even if you're going to Walmart, you're looking around like, is there anybody?
Which I think the 2 of you do naturally, right? From your training years and years. Like, y'all are hyper aware of what's going on.
I think law enforcement even more, because you're used to people with guns and perpetrators. Because I've always heard law enforcement sits with their back to the wall.
Well, 'cause
It's
you
so
can,
crazy because I don't even think about it. I hear about it from you. but I don't. It's not something that I go over on a checklist.
Just natural to do.
Maybe, I don't know, but I don't really think about that.
But you do it. You know what color somebody's hair is.
Not
that's
anymore.
driving
No,
or wearing glasses.
I'm so far gone from that. I think I have removed myself from that. You'd have to admit, I haven't. I think I have a lot.
Not completely.
I have.
It's probably because your eyesight as you get older.
Yeah, I'm
But
not.
the good news about this is usually for the average person, when we orient, we're not going to see danger because we usually are pretty safe. So, but that's a good technique. So those right there,
I love it.
it's called containment. It's like basically giving yourself a hug. So those right there are just 5 of the safety somatic techniques that people can practice on a regular basis. And as your body, as you continue to do this and you pay attention, it helps and it keeps you in a good place. So it's a good, do it twice a day, do it 3 times a day, do it when you're activated and stressed.
I think this would apply to you a lot. I think doing what you do, well, and look, we're all meant to do different things. I think doing what you do
Well,
is
think
probably...
about Jackie and tax season.
Yes,
so they
same
have
thing.
It's stressful weeks at a time,
Yeah.
as opposed to I might have moments or particular sessions that are bad, but for an accountant, there's like high stress times.
Sure. Yeah.
And people going to Walmart, same thing, depending on how their thoughts run and not understanding to get that under control. I think just for some people, living what we consider normal life is highly stressful.
I had a client where she was very angry, and she was very nice and I liked her, but she was angry. And she would go into Walmart looking for a fight. And she was expecting somebody was going to aggravate her, somebody was going to tick her off, and your brain is trained to find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for aggravation, you'll find it. But if you're looking for good, you'll also find that. So
part of that is past trauma, right? Something
Sure.
happened in your life that you haven't dealt with and you're just carrying it.
hypervigilance is looking for, like, we don't feel safe and we're just hyper focused on where are the threats.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like I'm learning so much today.